Hi, everyone. So, welcome to the 2026 Mayworks Festival for Working People and the Arts. I'm really excited to be in conversation with Sam Wallman today. My name is David. I'm an organizer with the Union Cooperative Initiative. I'm also an interdisciplinary artist, co artistic director of Love Intersections, which is a media arts collective of queer artists of color. Yeah, Nadia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, everybody. My name's Nadia Santoro. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a union co op and community organizer. I'm also one of the co directors of the Union Co op Initiative and one of the lead organizers of the Mayworks Festival for Working People and the Arts.
Okay, thanks, Nadia. Before we begin, I just want to do a territorial acknowledgement. The Mayworks Festival for Working People and the Arts takes place across the homelands of 203 distinct Indigenous nations and cultures with more than 30 different languages and close to 60 unique dialects spoken across British Columbia. Our office and studio is located on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations in Vancouver. Indigenous rights are currently under attack across BC, and as workers of the Mayworks Festival, we commit to active reconciliation, solidarity, mutual aid, and concrete action with our Indigenous partners and members. Part of our work as activists and artists on unceded territories means working in solidarity with ongoing Indigenous struggles for sovereignty, decolonization, reparations, and land back. Our office is also located in Vancouver's Chinatown, an area for the gathering of Chinese laborers, settlers, and businesses since the 19th century. And we are honored to work out of the historic Lim Sai Hor Khao Mok Benevolent Association building. As workers of Mayworks Festival, we commit to solidarity and concrete actions with migrant workers as both their worker rights and human rights remain under attack.
Thanks, David. I'll also just jump in here with a bit of a background on the Mayworks Festival before we get started. So, the Mayworks Festival of Working People in the Arts celebrates the diverse artists and working people at the intersection of art, social justice, and labor. Mayworks festivals take place in communities around the world and was relaunched in BC in 2023 by a volunteer steering committee. The festival brings together artists and workers from a diverse range of organizations in the visual and media arts, community arts, cooperatives, and labor movement to celebrate the rich history of working people in BC. And since the restart of the festival in 2023, the Mayworks Festival has brought together labor and community partners to support over 40 different events and counting, hosted in locations across BC. With sponsorships from union and community partners, the festival supports meaningful living wage work and exhibition opportunities for freelance and gig worker union artists. The Mayworks Festival itself is a worker led cooperative incubated by the Union Cooperative Initiative.
Okay. Thanks, Nadia. I'm so really excited to introduce our guest for today, Sam Wallman, who's going to talk about his the piece that you did for the festival this year. Sam Wallman is a writer and illustrator based in Narm, Melbourne, on the unceded Wurundjeri country. He is a member of Workers' Art Collective and the Maritime Union of Australia. Sam is a committed unionist, having worked as an organizer for the United Workers Union and a delegate on the on the shop floor prior to that. Over the past 15 years, he has drawn for hundreds of trade unions and worker organizations around the world and currently works out of an art studio in Melbourne's Trades Hall, the oldest union hall in the world. He is currently working on All Out, a book about the pink bands to be published in 2027 by National Library of Australia Publishing and PM Press in the US. He co founded the Workers' Art Collective Art Studio in Victorian Trades Hall in 2014, where he continues to work, and he works part time as a wharfie longshoreman. So, welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to be in conversation with you. I thought, why don't we kick it off with the piece that you telling us a little bit more about the piece that you did for our window display, and I'm particularly curious about the quote from Jane McAlevey. What drew you to this quote? And yeah, maybe tell us a little bit about the piece that you did.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, I was very honored to be asked to do this large format piece for your window front. So it's an old organizing quote from Jane McAlevey, who's the late great labor organizer. She passed away a year or two ago, sadly. She's an absolute powerhouse. And the quote that it always comes back to my mind, and that's sort of, if a thought recurs to me, then I think, oh, I should probably draw that because it's kind of gets stuck in my head like a pop song. It says, "Do you spend most of your day talking to people who don't agree with you? If you're serious about building class politics, answer is yes."
Mm,
Because I find, like, even in my experience as an activist or a lefty or whatever, for so many years, I just wanted to surround myself with people that agreed with me and validated my thinking. And, partly that was to feel safe and
mhm.
to be able to have a higher level of conversation and stuff like that. But after a while, I was like, we're just little snobs, like little baby punks that kind of thought we were smarter than everyone and weren't
Yeah.
really changing people's minds because we weren't really talking to other people because we were like, you guys are actually just problematic. So I'm going to keep you at arm's length, which you can understand that thinking. But I like the quote because it kind of encourages us to get out of our silos and um, connect with people
Hmm.
that we need to win over. Like, not necessarily the most hardened bigots and pricks that are on your block, but the people that, like, most people are fairly apolitical, or they might be forward thinking on one issue but a bit reactionary on another. And so I
Yeah.
feel like trying to meet people where they're at and find the common ground, and then flesh out the arguments over what you do disagree with. That's fruitful territory for me. And the second part
Hmm.
down the bottom, I put, which is kind of a note to myself as much as anything. I wrote, that old. It's kind of corny, the old saying, like, you got two ears and one mouth,
Mm.
so you should listen twice as much as you talk. Which, yeah, I need reminding.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm just running my mouth already right now, so it's partly
No,
for me to remember to shut up.
no, I love that, Sam. I mean, just a little bit backstory of Love Intersections. It's why we started Love Intersections, and then the name came from this sort of like, yeah, as you're mentioning, like it's so much easier to just kind of be like those people over there are the problem when there are also a part of our community, right? They come from a community. We these people, are their perspectives are also cultivated some way too, and so if we can be a
Yes.
part of that, and bring them over to our side, but it's often
Yeah.
it's yeah, I hear you. It's and I think part of what when Nadia and I were talking about the quote and everything, I mean, I won't lie, I mean, in the era that we're in, and I'm finding those conversations a lot more polarizing too. And so it was anyway. I thought it was a very powerful quote to highlight, especially given the current state of the world that we're in right now.
Yes. I feel you. Like, it's easy to say a line like that, but these conversations is challenging and confronting and exhausting. So yeah, and that's that. I come back to the labor notes, the organizing infrastructure program. I love that
Mm,
crew. They have a really good graphic that's like aim for the bullseye, and then it kind of just like talks about uniting people that are sort of halfway there, isolating really backwards people. Like I was saying before, like, it's not like you're going to go up to the most cool MAGA dickhead and try to, you're not going to waste your time banging your head against that wall. But if there's like your neighbor has a weird talking point on some issue that they've clearly just had breathed down their into their mouth from Fox News or something, I'm gonna
totally.
try to, like, push through with some love and then feel really tired after.
Yeah, yeah. It reminds me. So I live in Chinatown, and my building has a Facebook group, and there's just there, as you can imagine, there's like and you've been in Vancouver, right, Sam? So you kind of know. So
Yes, love
Chinatown's
Vancouver.
right next. Oh, yeah. So Chinatown's right next to the downtown east side, the poorest neighborhood in Vancouver, or sorry, in Canada. And so I see so much of this sort of, anti-poor, anti-drug user attitudes on on our building's Facebook group, and a lot of the evidence or the links that they're posting are all oftentimes, these oftentimes really terrible, like sort of like real, not even real news type of misinformation.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I'm just sort of hearing you in terms of like, sometimes even just sharing some other information, just to
Yeah,
sort of balance the view is a way that we can, yeah, think about those types of conversations as well.
absolutely. And it can be so messy. Yeah, especially groups like that that are very policey and but if what's that line like all politics is local, so it's good to
Mm,
start dig where you stand and start those some campaigns right where you're sitting. But I remember I used to live in on Grey Street. That is like the only real street where there's like still sex workers
mhm.
working on the street. It's a pretty rowdy street. It was yeah, it was fun. And we'd always try to like have the workers' backs and stuff like that. It was like a worker that used to lean against the pole outside me and my boyfriend's place, and she'd always sing Rihanna songs, leaning against the pole. It was a vibe, But there was
Yeah.
like a lot of stigma in our building. One time there was an older lady. She was so iconic. She always wore big glasses even at night and had like a beehive. She was great. And I was just like chatting
Mm,
to her in the hall and said to her like, if you ever need any help with anything going on, like just look me up and like we should stick together, blah blah blah. And she's like, she was going with me on it. And she's like, actually, yeah, yeah. It would actually be so good. And I was like, oh my God, it's happening. And she's like, yeah, I
yeah.
think there's a prostitute working in this building. So just said something really
Yeah.
derogatory and awful. Sorry for, I know that's kind of a bit of a slur. But yeah, I was like, oh no, this is going in the wrong direction. And so I tried to just
Yeah.
diffuse it and be like, oh, I work from home too. Like a lot of us work from home now, right? Just try to normalize it. But things
Yeah.
can take they can veer off track pretty quickly, and you just gotta walk away and be like, how could I have had that conversation better, or how am
Yeah.
I gonna chat to her next time? It's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
messy.
Totally. I'm curious. I mean, I'm work mostly in film, so I'm not. I don't do much of a like a visual art practice, but I'm curious, like, in terms of sort of like reaching, building community instead of building barriers. This type of conversation we're happening. What is the role of like arts or creative practice in doing that? In doing that, some of that
Um,
work, do you think?
I always get in trouble for this because I always talk down art, even though I spend so much of my time making it. But I think it's good as one lever in a campaign or a push. So
Mhm.
it is important because humans are very visual creatures, and politics is very invisible and very amorphous and can be impenetrable. People are intimidated to take a position and don't want to be wrong. And so I think like having art that is colorful and playful and
Mhm.
just makes things clear can really help a campaign just be more manifest. I
Yeah.
don't think unless you have like a proper strategy and timelines and all these moving parts, then art. I don't know. I mean, there's space
Mhm.
for self expression and that kind of art, absolutely. But in terms of
Yeah.
political art, I think it should just be clicking into the aims of the overall campaign and just seeing itself as
Yeah.
like one cog in that machine, like a visible one, which is important. But I think we
Hmm.
can. What do we say? We say in Australia like we pump up our tires a bit too much as artists. We're like,
Right.
so,
Well, it's been really. I was at the studio yesterday, and it was interesting seeing like people. I was taking some footage of your piece, and it was interesting just watching people be drawn to it, and then stop and then read it. And sort of, I don't think expecting a political message, because maybe they were drawn in for
yes,
different reason. Yeah, so it was interesting. I wish, yeah,
it's
it's
good.
interesting to see the people coming in and looking at the piece. Yeah,
Makes me feel sneaky.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
putting out some cheese, yeah, some googly
yeah,
eyes and some like pastel colors, and everyone's oh cute. It's like, communism.
yeah. Exactly.
No, that's great. That's good feedback.
Sam, we wanted to ask you about your work, your new project, the on the pink bands. Do you want to, yeah, maybe you can share a little bit about that with us? us?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been obsessed with this little hidden chapter of Australian history for a long time. It's really hidden. Like, I think we live now in a time of like 90, there's 97% less strikes in Australia than there were in the 70s when there was just a massive strike wave. So there was so much
Mm,
amazing stuff popping off. And now we're sort of in the ruins a little bit. So yeah, I feel like a lot of us nerds are like picking through amazing stuff that happened that just got left by the wayside. And yeah, no one's ever really done deep research, or there's never been more than like 2 pages written about the pink bands, which I think is really sad. So I've
mm,
been in the last 3 years, like I did a research fellowship for months, also interviewing the people that were involved because they're getting a lot older because it was 50 years ago now. So it was
mhm,
basically it was a string of strikes carried out by construction workers and teachers union, and some cafeteria workers were also involved, but it was um, all workers downing tools in support of persecuted queer people, um, notably years before our gay rights movement cohered. So that sort of started here formally. Like queer people have always been resisting as long as they've been
mm,
fucked over, but like things really kicked up with the gay rights movement in the like 78. But this was all like 1970, 71, 72, 73. So really forward looking, and also something that I find
mm,
really interesting because it just subverts this prejudice against blue collar workers, and a
mm.
presumption that we're always rednecks or backwards or bogans, and
Right,
it's just not true. Like, and it sort of limits what we think is possible because it's just a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like if you
right,
call these people those words again and again and again, and you act like they are, they might just be like, all right, is that what I am? Okay. So
right.
I find that history really compelling. And so I'm working on a book that's describes how that all came together. Yeah, in all the
Yeah.
gooiness because it's pretty complicated, and then it also sort of
Mm,
folds in what it's like for me to be like a longshoreman. 'Cause yeah, there's not a lot of us. When I started, I asked my mate at the union. I was like, "Yeah, where's the other gay dudes at my port?" And he's like, "Oh no,
right.
there was one in Sydney in the '90s." I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
So it's a
Oh my
thing.
God.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the book kind of like is about the pink band's history, and then like how amazing, how much we've changed the world. Like it's not a given; it could change back, but we
Yeah.
don't stop and celebrate how much we've changed the world, like the generation before us for LGBTQI people. So
Right.
it's kind of like using my story at the docks as a way to humanize this struggle over decades. So yeah,
Right.
it's coming together. I'm getting close to
Very
finishing it.
cool. Very cool. Yeah, I wanted to also ask you about your some of your archival practice, and this came up because I don't know if you know the piece that we had up in the windows before yours. So it was a commission that we did, that Claire Yao did, and she's been doing a lot of archive work around, specifically like Chinese, Japanese, and South Asian organizing, labor organizing in Vancouver in the 19th, 20th century. And I was so the piece has all these like archival quotes, like xenophobic headlines from that era. And what I was really struck by, and of course surprised but not surprised, that these were like literally like almost verbatim headlines that we have now in Canada, anti-immigrant headlines that we're having now, in Canada. And so it has drawn me into thinking about, and of course, as we mentioned in the intro to this talk, that being in the Lim Association building, we've been thinking about sort of like, the role of, of art, I guess, in terms of like illuminating history that tells us what's happening today too. So yeah, I was just curious. And Nadia and I were looking at some of your past work, and yeah, how does the role of looking into archive play into the projects that you take
Oh, that's a good question. It's a big one. So I think
on?
so many, yeah, like you said, like so many of the things we're organizing around or confronting, and like the world, things change a lot. Like the technology changes, but the
Yeah.
social relations and the boss's tactics, they don't really change. Like they know hit the racism button. That's the best. Like race is the primary way that the working class has divided, and it's been very productive for the ruling class. So
Right.
they just turn that dial up when they have to. It's disgusting. So I feel like I used to make more political cartoons that were in the news cycle, and I started getting frustrated because it just felt a bit too reactive, and like I was
Mm.
reacting to um, like playing within goalposts that were not set by me. So I started, and because I am like history nerd, I'm into all this stuff. I was like, I think I need to make
Mm.
like resources that can be more enduring because the same stuff keeps popping up as I'm getting older. So now I
Right.
do try to make historically informed things that can just sit there and won't be outmoded in a month or two, and that people can download and print themselves, and
Mm.
campaigns can slap their logo on it or whatever. Like I'm very into that
Yeah.
sort of just like making resources because yeah, we're always putting out these same spot fires and like you get you know, I'm 40 now, so like on the left for like 20 years or something. So you say the same things over and over again, and it's kind of a
Right.
you have to because new people are coming into the movement, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just trying to bring the drum, and things don't change that much. So I feel like it's a challenge to try to come up with new ways to say similar things, but also not
Yeah.
be brittle because we do need to like change our tactics because they're obviously not working.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I was thinking about this when you're saying this too, because like one of the themes of the Mayworks Festival is bringing together working people in the arts to imagine and build a better world together. And so when I hear the way that you're working with archives and looking at your work as well, I see you drawing from history as a way for us to imagine a different world now and how we could potentially build a better world from even learning from our history, right? So that's something that really struck me looking at your work. And on top of that, not necessarily writing off people that most people sometimes want to just write off, like get out of your silo and actually reach out, talk to people, listen to people, and do that work. So, yeah, I found, is this something that informs your practice? I guess maybe turn this into a question for you.
Thank you. That's such a nice thing to say.
Mm.
Yes, I think it is definitely that thinking is definitely something that informs my practice. I don't want to be in a subculture or a cult. I want is to be hegemonic, really. And I think we have to get comfortable thinking like that and talking like that. We want to win, you know. I want to beat. I
Mhm.
want to beat the bosses. I
Yeah.
want to beat the racists. I want to beat the transphobes. Like I want, yeah. And I think we're only going to do that with millions and millions of people and scooping people up. And yeah, we're not going to do it by like if we know that these ideas come from Elon Musk. Like, what's the old Marx line? Like, the ruling ideas of any era are the ideas of the rulers. Like,
Mm.
I butchered that quote, but like, if we know that these ideas are coming down from billionaires and then just coming through people because the education system's terrible, because the left is weak, because we haven't reached them, it seems so short-sighted to just be like, ah, like get away from me, you're wrong. It's like, no, that's on us. Like they're wrong because
Right.
we're not good at what we're supposed to be doing.
Right. 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 Totally. Yeah. I was just mentioning to Nadia as well. I'm just thinking about the archive question again as well. I recently, I'm doing a project right now in the city of Vancouver archives, and it was basically one guy who was this British. He worked for Imperial Oil, and he had the position for like 45 years, and the entire Vancouver's archives, which is of course extremely colonial, is all through his eyes, for 45 years. You know,
Wow.
it's like, yeah, it's like really, really, really messed up stuff, like around, especially the displacement of indigenous and the burning of the indigenous villages to make Vancouver, and all of that. Anyway, so I was just really, you know, this, I think this project that you're doing, especially the interviewing of the like the queer or the elders, I think you described it for the pink bands, during the pink bands. Yeah, I just keep thinking, like, you know, if we don't sort of also record those histories and remember those stories, what also gets lost from that like collective memory. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I think the oral history stuff is really important. And that, yeah, even because I did, months long research fellowship into this topic for the book at the start. And even like at the National Library of Australia is an amazing place, but it is very static and it is very colonial. And even just
Mm.
talking with, they have an Indigenous team there, which is really good, like relatively new formation. Um, but talking to them and being educated about how this way of seeing things as history, like as if like
Yeah.
there aren't a million different ways of seeing time as well, and as if our vision of time isn't even a colonial construct, and to freeze things and act like, especially Aboriginal stuff, that's the past when it's actually an enduring culture and it's still living, but to seal it and put it in a hermetic box, it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's got a dark energy to it. So I think
Yeah.
the library has some amazing because there was a lot of Aboriginal people involved in this strike as well. So that in the book, which is really cool. And one of the interviews was like a 10-hour, like 8 CDs of oral history interview with this um,
Hmm.
old Indigenous organizer from the Builders Labourers Federation. And it was such an
Cool.
honor to felt kind of self-indulgent that I was allowed to just like lay around and listen to, like, you could hear the birds chirping in the background of this recording. And I feel like that way of recording history is so much more organic. And
Hmm.
I don't want to overstate it, but I feel like that's something that the union movement and the labor movement and Indigenous movements have in common. Like, because the union movement is it's all storytelling. Like, that's how no one's stopping after a strike to write a book. Really, you're going on to the next fight. So there are stories being told on, on break, on the picket line, at the pub. It's at the stump. Like, there's a million times that these stories are getting told, and that's how we're doing political education. So I think like human to human storytelling is really, really important.
Yeah. Read an interview that you did recently, or I'm not sure if it was recently, Sam, but I was also really interested in your um, you go and do like physically go to a lot of the places that to do research. Um, can you tell me? Yeah, I'm really curious. Can you tell me about that and why that's important to your practice?
Yeah, I love doing that. It's so fun, but it's
Yeah.
almost always breaking because you can't. Everything looks different. Everything's
Right.
changed. So you're like grasping. I remember I went to like in England like a decade ago. I went where there was like a big battle where the workers were like massacred in their fight for universal suffrage for the vote, which we now just sort of take for granted. Um, but I went to the square where it happened, and it was just like, Starbucks and concrete, and yeah, I couldn't really feel it, and I was trying so hard, like you're almost meditating. You're just hoping something pierces the veil, but I don't
Mm,
know. Time changes a lot of things. So, but I do like to go there just because it's like ritualizing it, and you don't know what it's gonna bring up for you, and it's just a dedicated time in which you're just trying to connect with the past, but you
yeah.
kind of can't. In
Yeah.
my opinion, I don't know. What about you guys? Do you have some good historical markers and things like that there? How do you engage with the past that you're trying to remember in Vancouver?
Yeah, we did this. So the last one of so I did made a film right before COVID, actually, called Yellow Peril: Queer Destiny, and it follows a local drag artist. Her name's Made in China, and one of the yeah, it's a great. She's has a
That's awesome.
fantastic drag name, and um, we did this. So part of what we were thinking about was, and this was again before COVID, all the horrible stuff that happened after 2020, but we were so the site of the anti-oriental riots in 1907 is now this it's a parking lot now, just a couple blocks from here. And so we performed like an ancestral veneration ceremony there as a way to sort of like evoke that um, yeah, evoke those sort of like some of that energy or from that history. Um, but yeah, it's hard though because that's I mean this is sort of what colonialism did, right? It just paved over, you know, pave everything over to sort of literally hide that history. We think just going back to the archive topic that I brought up before, like it's literally that sort of more metaphoric paving over, but it's um yeah, but then also I mean, I don't know, it also makes me think of like the importance of thinking about the spaces as well. How about yeah, I don't know,
Yeah,
Nadia,
that
what do you yeah.
fumbling.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fumbling.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nadia?
Yeah, I was just, well, really, I was thinking about how what you're describing, both of you, your work is, there seems to be this sort of relentless attempt, I would say, by the ruling class to erase this history, right?
Mm,
To essentially do that even in really physical ways, like paving over it, putting up corporate coffee chains and parking lots and all of that, and how your work actually goes in and actually battles against that erasure of history
mm,
and uh, reclaiming that memory. So I think about that a lot in the discussion that you're talking about here, and how important it is. Like when we get back to this key idea of the piece that you did for Mayworks, which is like talking to each other. Part of that is also how we tell stories to each other. And I think about how organizing, whether it's union organizing or co-op organizing, community organizing, it's the way we tell our stories that
mm.
unites us and helps bring us together to actually take action and make change, right? So
Right.
that's kind of some of the stuff that I'm thinking about uh,
Yeah.
as both of you are
Love
describing
it.
your work. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, because it should be embedded, like you were saying, like the art is one thing, but the fact that it's in on the skin of this building that is a living part of campaigns made it so much more appealing
Hmm.
to be involved because it's actually like a part of a grassroots ecosystem. And yeah, and then the
Hmm.
work is sort of part of the praxis. And yeah, if there's dialogue happening and then the things that the work is talking about are going on inside, it's like the drawing is like a metaphor for actual living space. So yeah, I was like, when you reached out, I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it's a perfect timing too, because it's also we've been doing some thinking around also because FIFA is coming right to Canada, U.S. and Mexico, and so and of course knowing their legacy of exploitation of particularly migrant laborers, and so I think we're designing the next piece that will go up is being co-designed by migrant laborers, and so I think your piece it's a perfect sort of sort of sequence of displays that we're gonna be having. So
Oh, I'll wait to
yeah,
see. That's great.
yeah.
You guys built something very special. It's good.
Yeah, and yeah, it's also been a really lovely relationship that we've built with the elders that are the owners of the building too. I think at the beginning they were like, "What are you these weird artists doing?" and in the building. But we've since done a number of collaborations with them as well. So they're yeah,
Nice. What's that?
yeah,
What's that old meme? Like punks are nice people that look mean, and hippies are mean people that look nice. Like it
right,
takes a
yeah,
while to
yeah,
takes a
yeah.
while till people realize that punks are actually good-hearted.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sam, I also wanted to ask you about your first book project. So I think it was Our Members Be Unlimited, a comic about workers and their unions. And I read somewhere that you spent a year working at an Amazon warehouse for research for that book.
Yeah, that's a generous way of. That's what my mum says. My mum's like, "Oh, he's like a spy. Like he'll go and do these jobs." I'm like, "Mum, I'm just a worker. Like I just make
Right.
work
Yeah.
about whatever I'm doing." So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
kind of like I did warehousing a lot when I was younger, and then Amazon was opening. It was the first warehouse here, and we knew it was going to be hugely disruptive. And I used to be an
Right.
organizer for the union that covers warehousing. So, and I wasn't working, and I was just a bit sick of ringing my art out for money. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll go back to get some extra money and try to do what I can to help grow a union here. But I wasn't overstating my skills as an organizer or anything, or like just how powerful Amazon is. But it was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty dark experience overall. But I tried to like find some silver linings for the like. So that, yeah, that book
Yeah.
took 5 years. It's a graphic novel that like
Wow.
tries to tell the story of how the labor movement first started hundreds of years ago and where it's at now. And yeah, again, I always try to have like an autobiographical hook, maybe because I'm self-obsessed diva, but maybe I think I think also just the strength of comics is that when it's really human personal stories, people like, so it's kind of like we were saying before, you got to have a hook a little bit. So that's the
Yeah.
most accessible part. And then people like, oh, Amazon pissing in a bottle. Oh, because I wore a leg bag piss in when I was working there because it was bad.
Wow.
Like there was a sign on the urinal that said like if your urine is brown, then drink more water. And yeah, literally wore the piss bag. But that was real clickbait kind of thing. Like I literally
Yeah.
did do
Wow.
it, and I did feel like I
Wow.
needed to do it. But that's also like in the book as a way to encourage people to engage with the drier history as well. So yeah, I think I'm happy with that book. Like I haven't looked at
Yeah.
it in a long time, but the real labor of love and just like an ode to the union movement, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, and ever so, I mean, relevant today. I mean, I'm just thinking about all the, I don't know why it's on my mind, but the Met Gala and the Amazon Met Gala, and the all of the, how it's, I think it's becoming more and more in, hopefully more and more in people's,
Didn't
um
wasn't there like
um
an action where people were taking like yellow liquid
yes,
in bottles and placing it like
Yeah.
all over the Met
all
Gala?
over the Met.
Yeah, that was amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
Amazing. And yeah, Chris
Yeah.
Small's got arrested. Like how mythic is just the hate
Yeah.
between those two. I feel it.
Yeah.
Like I don't even like I used to like, I would kind of love to hate the billionaires and it was kind of I was like, oh yeah. Now it actually just makes me sick. Like after
Yeah.
working there and like I don't want to think about Jeff Bezos. Like he
Yeah.
these people like we should see them as like psychopaths and they should be treated like pariahs. It's crazy that everyone thinks a lot of people, if you stop them in the street, they think they're kind of rock stars and maybe they know it
Yeah.
in the back of their head there's something a bit funny, but I'm just like how are we not driven mad by the existence
Yeah.
of this wealth? Like it's yeah, I used to be like haha it's messed up, isn't it? Now I'm like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Send, yeah, send them to the guillotine.
Yeah. Yes.
please, please, the slowest guillotine you ever.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, all good. Maybe, maybe Sam, I want to also ask you about your work at the Maritime Union of Australia. What are things you are organizing around today?
I don't know. I'm just like I'm an active member of my union, but I'm not a shop steward or anything. Like I just kind of love my workmates. I like my job and I like my union, but I'm not super, super, super involved in the
Yeah.
day-to-day campaigns. A little bit. Like I step up when there's stuff to do, but there's like a big fight against automation that is escalating
Mm,
now, which is kind of an ongoing thing. Like I work at the most automated port in the world. It's like
mm.
yeah, 10% as many jobs as there were a few decades ago. Sometimes just like two of us on the whole wharf, which is very eerie.
Wow.
And yeah, it's getting worse. They just want it to be fully roboticized. Like even when you go to into the office, all the posters and the corporate graphics, which they're usually like tokenistically
Yeah.
smiling, diverse people. It's just all machines. They
Wow.
don't want us to exist. So that's a
Wow.
big fight. And then just like
Yeah.
trying to build a bit of a culture of sticking up for ourselves when we're forced to work in bad weather and
Yeah.
just stuff like that. But it's just yeah, we have like very repressive anti-strike laws in Australia that it's really challenging. It needs to be confronted head on. That's how it's been dealt with in previous generations. But we're not quite there. Like we have a lot of there's something happening, maybe like a half dozen unions in my state in Victoria,
Mm.
where there's like a lot of rank and file challenges to the leadership of the unions, and we've had one that was taken over by excellent, the politically serious, staunch people that are doing the work now, and we have a number that are coming up right now, and it's like this doesn't happen all the time, so we're a little
Yeah.
bit G'd up, and it's also putting all the lazy meal ticket kind of unions on notice and making them fight because they're like, oh, are the
Mm.
members going to challenge us if, because these are democratic institutions, they are up for grabs. So, sometimes
Yeah.
gerrymandered, sometimes the rules are tricky, but you can win them, and they're the, they're flawed institutions, but they're about all we've got in terms of like mass organizations. So it's cool when
Mm.
people get in there and have a crack.
Yeah.
Yes,
Very cool.
What
absolutely.
about you? What's going
Absolutely.
on there? What are some bright sparks? What are some things happening there that are giving you spark?
I'm I mean that theme of, well, like, just to pick up on what you're saying, if there's anti-strike laws, what you're doing is you're disempowering your ability as a union to actually strike back and to do anything meaningful. So it's exciting to hear when rank and file workers are taking their union back, and of course that just comes after my organizer heart. I love that
Mm.
you chose Jane McAlevey as the quote. That's the kind of school of organizing that I come out of, and
Mm.
so I see little glimmers of that happening even here, like where workers are continuing to engage in the democratic processes of their union to try to do things to um, to widen what they're engaging in, so that it's not just like what's happening at your work site. It's actually uh, attempts to organize for a connection between their work, their union, and the broader social movements that they're a part of. So whenever that's happening, that gives me hope. I'd say there's some of that happening here in BC as well. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, there's lots of work to do. It sounds like an international issue across the board with unions. But when I hear that workers are trying to take a crack at taking back their unions, there are those democratic processes. They are, like, you use this quote, they're up for grabs, and they are, right? Like that is
Mm,
that is exactly the opportunity. There is the ability for workers to engage in this, collectively
Mm.
organize, and take their union back for, like, for social justice purposes. So, like, moving it away from being like what are sometimes referred to as business unions to like social movement unions. So
Yeah.
that's a very broad answer to your question, but it makes me happy to
no,
hear it's happening. So
Yeah.
love
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also been encouraged. I know these are just really small wins, but there's a couple unions local that I've seen that have been a little bit more vocal about Palestine as well, especially with a lot of people losing their jobs for showing support for Palestine. So seeing a little bit more of those conversations in like those labor circles has been encouraging at a time when it's not when there's has been a lot of discouraging things happening around that topic. So
Yes. I always like the quote, like, no permanent victories, no permanent defeats. I did a big drawing about that once.
mm,
And I always think, especially in relation to Palestine, like, because we had a huge swing of energy around that, which was really beautiful, like weekly rallies for years, filling the
hmm
city streets. It was awesome. And a lot of ragtag, scrappy, lefty people got involved in Unionists for Palestine. It was this big push here. Pretty much every union had its own working group, and it was frustrating. And we
wow,
were faced with how unresponsive and undemocratic a lot of our unions can be. But it meant a lot of people learned about the history of unions and the potential power there, and
yeah,
there are rules that can be studied, there are processes, there are governance structures that need to be taken
right,
seriously. And so a lot of people ended up heartbroken and like, was that a waste of energy? I don't think it's a zero sum game. Like, there were different parts of those efforts in different industries that were productive and brought people into unionism and brought people into the fight for Palestine. But
hmm
also, like, just you never know what's going to happen, because a lot of the people in the public service working group. They all met and started organizing together and got close, worked out who could be trusted, and you know, built their working relationships. And then they're the people that ran the rank and file ticket subsequently, like a year later, through that structure, and they won and they
Right.
took over the union, and now they
Wow.
are governing the public service
Wow.
union in Victoria, and now they can take the fight for Palestine if if that's what they can bring the members
Wow.
along with. So you never know. Like, yeah, no permanent victories, no permanent defeats. Like, you just can't tell what is a failure and
Yeah,
what is going to lead to something else later. So
totally. I love that quote. I'm gonna that's gonna stick with me for a while.
Yeah.
it's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Not mine.
I
Not
love,
mine.
I love that.
I just steal quotes. Steal
Yeah.
quotes from smarter people. My thing.
Yeah. Nadia, do
That's
you have any
awesome.
other
I was just
questions?
going to say that's awesome. I love that story. I love that quote. And it's really great to hear that story. And I hope to share that with some of the folks here. Like similarly, here we have Labor for Palestine chapters that are setting up in different locals, and they're facing a similar resistance within their own unions. And to hear that story, I think will be really helpful for them in their work. And there's also some really cool stuff that they've done here as well. Like I know there's resolutions that they try to pass. I'm not going to do it justice right now, but I know there is one that got passed at the last CLC convention, which had to do with the Canadian Labour Congress. The Labour for Palestine delegation was able to pass a really significant resolution there as well,
I
and
saw
that was
that.
like years of organizing. So it is exciting to see that and hear these stories.
Yeah.
And what remind me of the quote again? No permanent,
No permanent
Nope.
victories.
Victories.
no permanent defeats. So
No permanent
That's
defeats.
right.
keep going.
Yeah.
I'm actually making I'm making a shirt with that on it right now, so I'll send you both one. I'll make a note.
That's
Love
amazing.
that.
That's amazing.
Let me know your sizes.
Sure. That's cool.
Yeah.
I have a
Sam, I
really
was
good
just gonna.
shirt from last. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Last time I was in Vancouver. What does it say? It says like some unionist gave it to me. It's like a long sleeve shirt, and on the back it says everything that which we want, we wish for all. So
Awesome.
earnest and beautiful.
Yeah.
You
That's
guys
great.
got a strong union. You're a union town. Vancouver's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hopefully, it will build to be an even stronger union town.
Here, here.
Yeah.
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 Sam, I was just gonna maybe ask, just riffing off of what you just said, as a kind of maybe as a closing question. I was curious if you had any upcoming work or projects that you were excited about, that were in development.
Mostly, I'm just trying to finish this damn book. It takes so long because graphic novels
Yeah.
take forever. So I have like a
Yeah.
note next to my desk in my studio. It says no more gigs. I'm trying to swat away any. So this was one where I was like, no, this is too special. I looked
Mm,
away from that little reminder because to do this piece. But in general, I'm trying to just stay focused because I don't get the dopamine hit working on a book because you just sit down and you work all day and then you barely make a dent. But a little goofy cartoon feels much better because it's so satisfying to sit down and draw something and then feels like alchemy or something because
yeah.
by the time you stand up to go pee or whatever, you've made this little thing. But
Yeah.
I missed that because now I'm just in the reads with this Pink Band's book. But hopefully it's
Yeah.
worth it. I just hope people still want to read books.
Yeah.
I
Well,
launched my other two books in Vancouver, so maybe I'll try to get there for this one.
amazing.
LWU back to me. They're an awesome sister union of ours.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to read it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully we all meet in person.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're going to launch your book here, let us know. We'll definitely do an event and we'll do all kinds of things. And I know me
Cool.
and David will still be reading books, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes, readership. That's 2 copies. That's good. I'll tell
Yeah.
my publisher.
right on.
Yeah.
Right
Great.
on.
Well, thank you so much, Sam.
No, thank you both. It was so nice.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.